What is going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with another video following the Bills' Week 12 loss to the Eagles, where we managed to find yet another sick, twisted, gut-wrenching way to lose a football game. A lot of people within the Mafia that are Bills fans, and even on the outside, are calling for Sean McDermott to be fired. People are just sick of it, man. Losing games that come down to the wire constantly, always making mental mistakes in the biggest of moments, and just are done with falling short all of the time. Josh Allen, in his Buffalo Bills tenure, is 0-6 in overtime games. And I get it. I understand the frustration. I see posts like the one you're seeing on screen right now that bring me back to the emotional roller coasters that I rode in each and every single one of these games, and feeling that rush of just pure pain hit me in a matter of 10 seconds all at once makes me want to cry. But despite all of this, I still think we need to pump the brakes as a fan base. I know this is not going to be a well-received opinion. I am personally not ready to move on from Sean just yet. His seat is hotter than it's ever been, but I'm not ready to pull that trigger. But before I continue, shameless plug, be sure you're liking and subscribing if you enjoy this sort of content. All of my social medias are down in the description. I would appreciate it if you check those out and followed me over there as well. Now, this loss to Philadelphia in Week 12 has everyone really riled up, and I get that that was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and people have kind of been over this guy for a while now. But my opinion, at least as far as this game goes specifically, I think the execution on the players' part was really ultimately what blew this game for us, and the flags, but those are out of our control. McDermott did have a couple massive blunders at the end of this game, though. He did not come out of here scot-free. The biggest blunder, in my opinion, was for some reason calling our second timeout to ice Jake Elliott on a 59-yard field goal. I think the idea of icing the kicker in 2023 needs to be shot dead. If he had actually thought for a second, hey, if Jake Elliott makes this kick, we'll still have 2 timeouts and, X amount of time on the clock to try and get a field goal of our own, then he absolutely doesn't call the timeout, which is exactly why I think that he was not thinking ahead in that moment whatsoever. I think he just called that timeout out of habit without actually considering every possibility ahead of him. Obviously, if he misses that kick, nobody's thinking twice about that timeout, but he made it, and now it's one of the biggest talking points of the week. You can't call that there, Sean. Following the timeout blunder, a lot of people were upset with the fact that he decided to have Josh and the offense kneel with 20 seconds and 1 timeout on the clock. I completely get why the majority was pissed about this. You're sitting here thinking, okay, why don't you trust your quarterback? Are you not trusting your offense? Don't you want to buck the 13-second narrative? Don't you remember against the Lions on Thanksgiving when we were in this exact scenario, when we got into field goal range, blah, blah, blah? I completely understand those perspectives, but at the same time, we have to take a step back and understand that the probability of a Josh Allen turnover is higher than we all want to admit. We would not have been able to run our regular offense down the field because we only had 1 timeout, so we would have been rushing in a tie game, and who knows what Josh does. Just imagine if Josh throws a similar pass that he did against Detroit. That very easily could get picked off. Let's also think back to that disastrous Vikings game where we're in overtime and Josh Allen is forcing a ball up the middle of the field, trying to hit Gabe Davis on a post. 20 seconds with 1 timeout. I am personally okay with kneeing it in that situation. It just wasn't worth the risk. That was not the only thing people were pissed off about. They were pissed off about the conservatism defensively on those last 2 drives that Philadelphia had, not just to tie the game, but then in overtime as well. The play specifically people were super upset about was how easy it was for Philadelphia to pick up that 3rd and 4 on their overtime drive. Immediately following A.J. Brown's incompletion, I 100% think he caught that, made a football move, 2 steps down, had possession, and then fumbled it, but whatever, what do I know? And then on 3rd down, Jalen Hurts has an easy pitch and catch to an open area because we're playing soft zone. People were upset. I was one of said people that were not happy about that play, but at the same time, let's put ourselves in McDermott's shoes for a second and really break down this decision. A couple times this year already, the Bills have tried to be very aggressive in those specific scenarios, and that exact aggression ended up getting us in a lot of trouble, and it failed us completely. Back in London against Jacksonville, late in the game, we have an opportunity to get the Jaguars offense off the field. We did what any team would do when you try to send pressure, play man-to-man in the back end, and then send the heat up front. Well, the pressure didn't disrupt Trevor Lawrence nearly enough. He gets the pass off, Micah Hyde gets cooked by Calvin Ridley on one-on-one coverage, and it's an easy completion. But that wasn't the last time we tried it. How about against the Broncos? 3rd and 10, they're on the drive that eventually led to their game-winning field goal. We send the crib at Russell Wilson, play man-to-man in the back end, Karan Johnson and Jerry Jeudy. Right before Russ gets whacked, he identifies he just needs to chuck it. That's exactly what he does, and because Jerry Jeudy cooked the shit out of Karan Teron Johnson and the ball was underthrown. Teron feels like he needs to compensate. He dives, draws a PI, and now the Broncos are in field goal range. So that was twice this year that Sean McDermott got aggressive in situations where he might have been conservative and then would have got his asshole ripped for it. And unfortunately, we just do not have the coverage guys to hold up in those situations like other teams do. So with that context given, think about it against the Eagles. You have Devontae Smith, you have AJ Brown on the outside. Are you leaving those guys one-on-one? So what does he do instead? He relies on the pressure of 4 guys to get there, and all Jalen Hurts has to do is drop back, find the open spot, and it's a pitch and catch to Devontae Smith. So what do you do if you're Sean McDermott? I know the X's and O's can get a lot more intricate than this, but it just feels like over the course of the season, no matter what he tries, it just is not enough. In that 3rd and 4 situation, he's probably thinking, all we can't do right now is give up the touchdown. I have faith in our defense to, if we give up this first, keep them out of the end zone, they kick a field goal, then our offense gets another chance. It's a chess match I'm not cut out for. Granted, Sean McDermott is paid to play in these chess matches, but my point in saying all of this is that it's not just as simple as, Sean McDermott's just conservative. He's soft in these spots like he was in the 13-second game. Like, it's not that simple. Now, it's also not an excuse, but we have to look at everything as a whole, not just that specific situation. And for what it's worth, if you noticed on those last 2 Eagles drives right before overtime and in overtime, McDermott was attempting to send different types of pressure packages at Jalen Hurts. Regardless of all of that, though, like I said at the beginning, I do think the plays or lack of plays made by the Bills players at different points in this game were ultimately what lost it more than Sean McDermott's decision making in some spots. I know you blame the refs. I want to blame the refs as well, but that's something out of our control. If James Cook doesn't drop a walk-in touchdown early in the game, if Tyler Bass doesn't have 1 kick blocked and then the second one he misses, if our supposed best safety duo in the league didn't give up a 3rd and 15 prayer to fucking Olamide Zaccheaus in a big spot,
and if Josh and Gabe were on the same page in overtime,
then none of these conversations would be happening.
I went back and watched the Eagles' final drive in overtime again while editing this, and I seen this play again, and it's been bothering me ever since. It's 2nd and 10. This is an opportunity to get them to a 3rd down and maybe even a 3rd and long. And what we're going to see here is A.J. Brown running a deep crosser or a post to the middle of the field to clear out that side for Devontae Smith, who is then going to run a crosser underneath. Rasul is man-aligned with A.J. Brown, and I don't think they're bracketing him here. I just think Rasul follows A.J. Brown a bit too long. And it's at about this point where Rasul needs to pass A.J. Brown off to Micah Hyde and the 2 high safeties where he's heading in the middle of the field, and then turn his head and take away the crosser coming underneath. But Rasul doesn't pass A.J. Brown off soon enough. He's a step too late getting down to the crosser, and the window is open long enough for Jalen Hurts to hit. Like I said, it was 2nd and 10. If Rasul turns his head a second sooner, we probably have an incompletion. Maybe we pick him off. At the very least, I think we get the Eagles in a 3rd down situation and probably a 3rd and long. But just add that to the long list of what ifs that happened throughout this game. I'm just ranting at this point.
If one of those plays are made, we win that game. Now, we can do exactly what I just did with every heartbreaking loss that we've had under Sean McDermott. Blaming Sean McDermott for this decision or this play by this player, like you can do it with any game. Other than 13 seconds, though. That was purely on coaching, purely on McDermott. That's it. No ifs, ands, buts about it. For a second, though, let's go ahead and entertain the idea of firing Sean McDermott and take the next steps in the process. Immediately after the fact, everyone hoots and hollers because they're so happy and so excited. But then reality hits. Who replaces him? Where do you go from here? Well, I'll tell you one thing right now. It better be an offensive-minded head coach, because that's been a big talking point that's been tearing Sean McDermott down. So replacing him with another defensive mind, that would be pointless. So that narrows like 50% of our options down. So what's on the table? Do we hire half a season offensive coordinator Joe Brady? No. What about externally? Eric Bieniemy? I could guarantee you he's staying in Washington after Riverboat Ron gets fucking canned. I would say maybe Ben Johnson. That's probably the most realistic option that we would have. We would not be guaranteed to get him despite being an attractive role. And then after Ben Johnson, who's left? Like, seriously, try and tell me who you would also go after. Bobby Slowick? I mean, there is not a large, mouth-watering pool of attractive offensive-minded options out there. There just isn't. The next Mike McDaniel isn't just waiting on the curb right now. The head coaching position is so crucial, and finding someone that can do it well is not that easy, and when you have one that is proven, it is a blessing that you need to respect, no matter how much pain might be coming along with it. Carolina just fired Frank Reich before the season was even over in his first year, and that's the second straight year that they have an interim stepping in. Josh McDaniels came from a successful Patriots dynasty, and he ruined the Raiders. The Broncos fucked up so bad with Nate Nate Hackett that they spent a first-round pick to get Sean Payton. As we're seeing, that has paid off for them massively, but these kinds of things don't happen very often. Like I said, the next Mike McDaniel isn't waiting outside our facility. There isn't a proven veteran Super Bowl caliber head coach just laying around waiting to be traded to another team. Like, we do not have these kinds of options. So we fire Sean McDermott right now, that's great, we can move on. But then what if you fuck up the hire? And then all of a sudden, we go from wasting Josh Allen under Sean McDermott to really wasting Josh Allen under who knows how many different head coaches trying to figure out who is the next guy. And it's not like I wouldn't hypothetically have faith in Brandon Beane to figure that out, but you can't rule out the possibility that we hire the wrong guy. I mean, we all thought we did it with Ken Dorsey, didn't we? I get we all feel like we're at rock bottom right now, but the grass is not always guaranteed to be greener. We need to look at the broader perspective here. Speaking of our offensive coordinator transition, that brings me to my next point. And this is something that absolutely nobody is acknowledging right now, but Sean McDermott did something that everyone, and I mean everyone in Bills Mafia was clamoring for, and that was fire Ken Dorsey. I didn't think there was a chance in hell we would do it until at least the end of the season, and this was a move that was widely criticized by the broader public, specifically by the analytics community, or as I like to call them, the smart people, but he did it anyway, and I know for a fact if you're a Bills fan watching this video right now, you were also begging for Ken Dorsey to be canned, and I know for a fact when the news finally broke, you were happy as hell. And on top of that, he had the confidence to turn to Joe Brady and say, you know what, you're hired. Sean McDermott did that. And once again, if you're a Bills fan, you've been more than happy with the move over the last couple games. Joe Brady has rejuvenated this offense. That was all Sean McDermott, but that won't be acknowledged because everyone's just a tad bit worked up right now, and I don't blame them, but we all just need to breathe. Look, we all know that the reality is Sean McDermott is not getting fired now. He's not going to get fired at the end of the season. He will be our coach going into 2024. But for the very first time in Sean McDermott's career, no one else can take the bullets for Sean. Next season, it's just going to be him and the loaded gun. Nothing else. He knows it. And if the Bills have the year that we all know that we could have in 2024, then he will stay. If we once again fall short for whatever the circumstance, he's done. He's gone. And that, in my opinion, should be the plan from here until then. A premature, unprepared, and emotional firing of one of the most vital pieces of an entire organization could dig you into a much deeper hole that I do not want to see the bottom of. There may very well just be a point at the end of the 2024 season or halfway through next year because of how bad it's going that I am ready to explore the unknown. But right now, that is a risk I am far from ready to take, despite how painful that loss was to Philadelphia. So those are my thoughts on our clapping egghead. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But as always, if you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. If you want to hit the bell to be notified when I upload, I'd appreciate that. If you want to go over to Twitter, follow me over there, I'd appreciate that as well. I have a TikTok down in my description that I think you should check out. I have been live streaming 1 to 2 primetime games per week this year, so be sure you're sticking around to check those out. And I will see you in the next one. Go Bills. Peace.
Another day, another dollar. I'm the only one out here. Do you see anybody? I don't see shit. They don't know me, son. Every day where we're not getting stronger, we're getting weaker. They don't know me, son.